Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to a video. This is a paid request, this time from Masi. Masi? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. And for those interested, request any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, whatever the case may be, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And pretty much the question is for a topic. Actually, let me read their message here. That's what I'm looking at. Hey Matt, I've noticed you don't really have any playthroughs or let's tries or any of the sort of the Souls games. Games like Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, Elden Ring, Bloodborne. Can you make a video explaining or reviewing why you hate the Dark Souls games besides the difficulty? Well, it's simple. I've never played them. The video's over. I can't say I hate them because I've never played them, and the reason I never played them is because it never came up. I mean, from what I understand, back in the day, Dark Souls, originally I think it was more of a PC game. I wasn't much of a PC gamer. And you have to make the video a bit longer. The thing with me in video games is probably, how do I put it? Back in the day, I was a Nintendo guy, Super Nintendo guy. And then I would say about 2000, 2001, we as a family finally got a computer. I say we as a family, at that time it was me and my mom because my brother and sister, they had gone off to the colleges and other stuff. I was still in high school at the time. And we lived out in a farm in the middle of nowhere in Iowa. And it wasn't until like 1997 or so that we got cable. And then yeah, it was like 2000, 2001 before we got the computer. And what's this thing called internet? I knew about it in school, of course. There were computer classes, more like just the old school, like typing keyboard, the very, very limited web pages back then to learn this new technology at the time, or newer. And I'd seen a few PC games. One of our neighbors had old PC games like Mega Race. I think that was what it was called. Mega Race. I think that's what it was called. It's like a Death Race 2000 type of game. It's like you're in the future and you're racing with all these other players and you gotta get them off the track or stop them, kill them, whatever. And then once in a while, there's this guy who had this kind of wacky personality talking to the viewer, talking to the player. Seemed like a car salesman type of guy. And then there were a couple PC games I dabbled in. I think I played Half-Life for a bit. Serious Sam. I remember trying to play that first Blair Witch game, the one with about Rust and Parr. And yeah, I would get a little bit far into these games, but I was never used to playing on a keyboard. It was always cumbersome for me because I'm so used to playing with a controller. That's how I grew up with Nintendo, Super Nintendo, before that Atari, after them it was PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and then eventually later on you have PlayStation 3 and then got got PS2, PS3 there, got PS4 here. It's funny, back then I was more the Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I was more a Nintendo guy. Then when I got in the high school afterward era, I became more of a PlayStation guy. I know the PS5 is out, but just way too expensive for me. So Dark Souls, I believe PS3 you could play them on. at least some of them. I had heard of the games. I know many people play them, and they're very known, much known for their difficulty. This guy, I've watched from time to time on YouTube, Asmongold, YouTuber. Older videos he did was playing these games, these Dark Soul games. I remember at one point he watched, reacted to any percentage speed run that someone's playing Dark Souls, and he was just bewildered by it. And yeah, the games you mentioned, they're known for their difficulty. And my friend, you mentioned Bloodborne, my friend Michael King on his channel Phantasm with 2 S's. He played a bit of Bloodborne. He didn't finish it because I think he got to like part 7, and that was like 2 years ago. Now, granted, that could very well be because life gets in the way, you get busy with life. But from what I remember, he was having a pretty tough time with that, and it may be one of those things where, again, he was busy with life, but it could be also one of those, eat this. Just got tired of it. Got tired of dying. Which you can understand. And I know a lot of people like those type of games. They love games that are difficult, that are challenging, that are pain. Because it's, again, more of a challenge. They're tired of a lot of the hand-holding in games today. Even, what was it? I heard one of the Final Fantasy VII episodes. There's more hand-holding where, like, places you need to go, there's maybe yellow paint. I don't know if this is just a rumor or not. Similar to in the Resident Evil 4 remake, there were some barrels that had a little bit of yellow paint to show which ones you could break and direct your eye towards them. And I know some people didn't like them because, you know, how much do we need our hands held? It never bothered me. I'm like, that's fine with me. Because I'm of a different sort of animal. I don't play video games because, oh, I need a challenge. Life is challenging enough. It's for fun. For me, it's always been about fun and the experience of it. That's how it's always been with me. That's how it always will be with me. And I mean, if I look at the games I grew up with, yeah, of course, there's tough games, or there's games that it takes you a while to get through and to understand. You know, back to the day, playing, you know, Metal Gear Solid, you know, playing, you know, Silent Hill, but at the same time, while like any game, there's toughness to be had. It was interesting to learn what you're supposed to do when you either get to the atmosphere, or you get into the story, or you get into the mechanics of it, you get into the atmosphere, you get into the music, all the attributes so you enjoy the experience. But I know for some people, they look at some of these games and they just love the challenge and how difficult it is. And this thing will kill you in 1 hit or 2 hits, or you get attacked and you don't see it coming because it's one of those games that you beat it by repetition or memorization. And it's like people who love the Mega Man games. I liked Mega Man 2, but I'm not an expert at Mega Man games. I've barely played much of them, so I can't really say much, but I've seen people play them and witness how difficult they are, or seem to be, because you gotta make sure to know which boss to get to first, and which weapon to get, what weapon to use on this boss, and then because memorize it's like everything. Like, once, if you played it enough times and you've memorized it enough, it will seem easy and second nature to you. Like this game, you know, I have a friend who played this game. He didn't like it. It was very difficult and tough for him, and I can understand it. I love the game, but for him, it's like he's never played the game before. There's certain stuff that's a bit harder to understand. But again, for me, I wouldn't call it easy. I would die a bunch as well, but because I'm more familiar with it, because I'm so used to it, because of repetition, because of history with it, it will seem easier to me than perhaps to a brand new a person experiencing it for the first time. I'm sure that's the case with a lot of people that play these type of games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. And I've seen clips and pieces of footage with it. I'm not sure if the story would be that intriguing to me. The graphics do seem fine. I'm not sure about the gameplay. I guess for me, I'm more into the hack and slash or beat 'em up like Final Fight, beat 'em up games. Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, Maximum Carnage on Super Nintendo, Final Fight. You see, like maybe that'd be more my cup of tea in terms of fighting, or even playing Evil Dead, Fistful Boomstick, or the stuff Dead Space, Dead Space 2, Resident Evil 4, that type of combat where there could be difficult times, but they give you a little bit of, I wouldn't say leniency, but oh, it's tough, but then you could save here, you get health, or you could maybe a little bit of leeway, or something to that effect. But it seems a lot of these games, like the ones you mentioned, they don't really give you much of any leeway. If you screw up once, you're done for. And to be very punishing. And yeah, I know some people really enjoy that stuff. I mean, I've never played the game, so I can't say, well, why do you hate it? I don't hate it because I never played it. I just don't seek that stuff out because, again, play games to relax and have fun. Or if it's a bad game, to make fun of. If it's a good game, you want to experience it in like the Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty with Black Ops and Modern Warfare, and it got tough for me at times because I'm not a good player. But while it got tough for me at times, I just say overall I had a really good, fun, entertaining experience because I got into the gameplay and the different environments and some of the gunplay and then some of the different variety of missions where you're in a helicopter or you're in, I forget that air support where it's all in the white light, black light, like not infrared, but I forget what type of, I forget the name of it, and it had a tip of my tongue, especially in Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. So like I really enjoyed that. Crash Bandicoot, I did the playthrough of that. There was times it was tough. It was rage-inducing. But I will admit, I played that all in one day because despite my anger, I was still in a weird way having fun and I wanted to keep going because, while it's tough to get used to the jumping, I feel like, okay, I could do it. And like that bit of challenging I could understand because it still seems a bit simpler compared to these Dark Souls where there's a little bit of RPG elements of what weapons to have and what armor or what magic. And I've never been an RPG guy. I remember playing Final Fantasy VII a long time ago. But again, I'm not good at RPGs. I've never been an RPG guy. It's not really my cup of tea in terms of gameplay. I would say like survival horror games are probably my favorite genre. Beat 'em up games. Sometimes like maybe adventure, that story-based, story-driven. I forget what it was called, but it wasn't great. But there was a bit. It was like a kind of a very cheap game, but I'm trying to remember the name of it. But I play on the channel. You kind of look over this campground that used to be a cult was there. You pretty much search the campground and you read the notes and you learn a little bit of the history of what happened there, a little bit of backstory. I guess I would say it's like some type of walking simulator, but I don't know, it didn't bother me. I wouldn't say I loved it, but it was interesting enough. I mean, Dead to Rights, I remember that being a tough game, but I enjoyed some of it. I love Sound Hill 2 and Resident Evil 4. Aeon Isolation, I really enjoyed that one. And so on and so forth. Even, was Detroit Becomes Human? Was that the one? There were some tough moments in that, and there were moments that I hated. But overall, I did enjoy it because I thought it was a pretty interesting story. I liked some of the actors, especially Clancy Brown. So overall, I did like the game. I remember first going, "Oh, I've never played this again," and I'm like, "No, no." Because it was bad about the ending where I didn't know where to go here is a very important part. I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm redoing this. Forget that." But I guess for those out there, that'd be an interesting question for you guys who watch this. When you play video games, what are you playing for? Do you play them like me, just for fun? What's your favorite genre of games? If you are into games like Dark Souls, what is it about them that you like? Because it seems like if you watch people play them, it's very stress inducing. It's very, you die a lot and all this other stuff. So what is it that people get out of it? I don't know what it is, but I'd be curious to hear it for those who are interested in sharing. Feel free. But again, I just never played them myself, so I can't say anything about it. But with that said, thanks once again, Masi. Can't really answer your question the way you phrased it because I did. Can't review it because I never played them. And I don't own them. Maybe some of the older ones, maybe on the modded PS3, maybe. But even then, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know how to play it. I'd be just fumbling about, so there you go. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.